baby.
Live, not live. The very first book I need to talk about is at the bottom of that pile.
I'll work it out. I'll get that.
What's going on, guys? Meekachii here, and I brought Mr. Kivox because he actually read a lot of the books.
He actually read this time for once. He read a book in his life. Oh man, look at that guy.
I got him to read.
I gotta put my seat down. Hold on.
The book club books with me. And he's going to start being a bigger part of the book club as long as we read books that he thinks are interesting. So,
yeah.
And pretty much most of the books that we're talking about today were in the book club, so that's why he's here to join me.
I'm here. I'm being held against my own will and judgment, and I don't want to be here. Actually, I do want to be here. I don't mind. I forgive you this once.
So, this is my June...
This is our...
June wrap-up / July TBR. And let's get started. Give me that bottom book.
Bottom book? Yes, ma'am.
So the very first book that I finished was A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas.
Did I read that one?
No.
Oh, you did? I didn't read that one.
You would hate this book.
I would probably hate that book.
I like her books. I like her series. They're not the best series on the planet, but they're okay. I had huge issues with this book. This is like a novella, and it's set after the Court of the Court of Thorns and Roses trilogy, and it was terrible. It had no plot, nothing happened. My throat just made a noise. It hates it too. I feel like you were looking through different character
I'm gonna just sit back and watch.
I just nodded. So you go through different character perspectives in this book, and I feel like they were done so awkwardly. Like, I didn't feel like any of the characters were themselves. I felt like you were just reading the same character, but it was supposed to be different characters, so it didn't work out very well. On top of it, her sexual scenes never really bother me. I know they bother a lot of people, but in this book, they were so cringy and so awkward, and I was just like, I can't read this. It's just terrible.
I'm gonna tell you something about myself. I hate any sexual scene in any book. It terrifies me.
Why?
I just don't like them. I don't want to think about like the author I don't want to think about the author like writing it down and like thinking about, oh, what happens next? And I'm like, no. That's what I'm thinking the whole time. And then and usually I listen to it, so now I have to hear this narrator like reenacting these things, and I'm just like,
these were especially cringy and bad. It was just so bad, and like, I can deal with a lot of sexual stuff in books, and it doesn't bother me. I just kind of like whatever, I read it, but this was bad. And I don't know. I feel like there was no plot. There was no point. It felt like it was just like pulled out of one of her bigger stories, and it was just like shoved into one mini story. It was completely pointless, in my opinion.
So just to be straight, to understand this properly, a novella is like a small like side story. Is that what they're considering a novella?
It's like added content that isn't in the main books, but
Did you know
literally the main premise of this entire story could have been summed up in like 2 pages.
Did you know that they call novellas, like soap operas in other countries are called novellas?
Yeah.
Did you know that?
You told me that.
Oh. You're welcome.
So yeah, I ended up giving this a 2 out of 5.
I ended up giving it, I will never read it, out of 5.
Should I become America's Next Top Talent for sing yawning?
That's not a thing. That's not a show. America's Next Time Talent. Next Top Talent? Next Top Talent? Is that even...
Give me that second one.
The second one. All right. Ooh, I read this one.
Yeah. So we read Broken Girls by Simone St. James. I gave this book a 3.5 out of 5. I think you gave it a 2.5.
Do I get to do a number?
Yeah.
I give it a 2 out of 5. It was a little below average. It wasn't bad.
I think that's like a 2.5.
I don't think that a 2 is bad. I think a 1 is bad. Well, I'm just explaining my rating system, okay? A 3 is average. It's like, whatever. I'm going to give it a 2.5. Because it wasn't like, I feel like 2 is below average. 3 is average. 2.5 is like, in between those two, right? That makes sense. So it wasn't written badly. There was a couple things in there, writing wise, that I didn't think was great.
I think what made it good was like there were some ghost elements to it, and they didn't try to explain away those ghostly elements to be like normal everyday things. Like there were actual like haunting type elements to it, and I like that stuff. Like I like creepy books, but in my opinion, I'm gonna try to make this as spoiler free as possible. There are so many mini plots going around in this book, and I feel like they don't connect to each other well enough to make them one solid cohesive book. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the way I would describe that same thing that you're saying is I don't feel like they connect enough to make them worth it, to make them worth my time learning about what's happening. Yeah. And then there were the little gripes that I had were the describing too much information that I did not need. For example, Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Like instead of saying just tell me that you got a coffee. You're holding a coffee. Or
I brought my DSLR camera.
Yeah. I don't need to know that it's a DSLR. I don't need to know that it's a mirrorless camera. I don't need to know that it's a point and shoot, a cell phone camera. You know, next thing you're going to be telling me, hey, I brought my camera phone in. Who says camera phone?
I do all the
time. I know, you're weird. But anyway, little dumb things like that like really pulled me out of it.
That stuff doesn't bother me.
But it pulled me out of it.
Yeah.
I was in there and I was just like, why is she telling me that it's a DSLR?
Like, okay, so I feel like the story was interesting enough where I wanted to know what was going to happen in the end. I didn't really know what was going to happen in the end. There were some parts at the end that they threw in there, and I was like, why? You probably know what part I'm talking about.
I do, the one that I asked you about.
Yes. And I was like, why? What's the point of this? And in the end, the story was okay. I gave it a 3.5. I found it entertaining, but I don't think I'll ever read it again.
I gave it a 2.5. Did I say that already?
Yes. All right.
Psyched. I'm so psyched.
So, I actually only read 3 books last month, which is...
Ooh, tisk tisk. Wait, is this how you do it?
Chewy. That's what my grandma says.
Chewy.
My grandparents, chewy.
Golly.
I don't know why I only... Well, I do know why I only read 3 books, because one of them was massive.
And school and work.
School and work do that to you, but... and my work has been crazy lately.
I read 3 books.
What was the other one?
This one twice.
Oh. So anyway... Part of the book club. This one was part of the book club.
If you guys read both of these books that we just talked about and you guys want to watch the
in-depth spoilery talk
book club video where we talked to whoever showed up that day, we'll put a link up there for you guys.
So the third and final book I read this month was Sufficiently Advanced Magic by Andrew Rowe. And
I kept calling it Significantly Advanced Magic because it's the same word.
No, it's not.
Sufficiently, and it's... I can't. I just can't. I'm done. I'm done.
Sufficient means something completely different than significant.
Sufficiently advanced and significantly advanced are pretty much the same thing. Dude, if I was going to school and I was learning significantly advanced magic, I'd be like, yo, that magic is hard. And if I was learning sufficiently advanced magic, I'd be like, yo, that magic is hard.
I feel like significant is a more significant word than sufficient.
Good one.
Anyway, so he ended up giving this a 5 out of 5. I gave it a 4.2 out of 5.
Well, okay, so this is going on recently read books. That's the only reason I would give it a 5 out of 5, because it's like the most fun I've had reading a book.
I don't feel like over time, I mean, sometimes my ratings do change over time, but normally my 5-star books remain 5-star books. This
is the way I think of it, right? It depends.
They impacted you in a way where you're not going to forget it.
Exactly. But there's the thing of, like, let's say a Harry Potter book, right? You're like, dang, that was like a 6.
Yeah.
But before that, you had your setup, right? You had your 5s, and you were like, these are my 5s. But then a book comes out and it just like knocks those out. It's sufficiently better than the other ones. Then you got to think about it like, man, maybe those aren't 5s, or maybe this one's on a new level. Maybe this one ascended to Super Saiyan 2, and the other ones are just regular Super Saiyans. You see what I'm saying there? I
get that like your opinions can change over time, but like Harry Potter to me is just like you can't rate books against that series.
I know, it sucks.
It doesn't happen.
It's on its own level.
It is. It's a high fantasy where they're building up this entire universe, essentially, and there's going to be multiple books. We've heard 7. But essentially, it is... What?
Go ahead.
So I don't even know how to describe this book. essentially there are these towers, and in this world, if you get to a certain point in these towers during a judgment phase, you get a magical ability. And
you want me to do it?
This isn't bad. Depending on who you are, you get a different magical ability. And then if you go to the top of all the towers, you have a chance to meet the goddess and get a wish granted, essentially.
That's not the thing, all right? That's not the plot of the story. And that's not like,
that's the overall
that's not
plot.
like common knowledge. So it's an age thing. It's like becoming 11 and going to Hogwarts. So you get to a certain age, you go and do the test at this, it's basically a puzzle room that you have to make it through all these dangerous rooms, and if you make it to a certain point, you get a gift as in an ability, an attunement. And
then you have to go to a school to learn how to hone those abilities.
The cool part, though, is that the attunements are like video game classes or like any sort of fantasy classes, like kind of like RPG-esque, and you have like a mage, like an elementalist, summoners, you have healers. So like,
if you're like a fan of video games and RPGs, you would probably really like this
That's
book.
the best part. And like the fake science, would it be called pseudoscience? I'm not sure what pseudoscience is.
It just means like
guys,
all
right, here we go. Every video I make, there's always a new word that I try to use, and I never know if I'm using it right. So pseudoscience that explains the magic in this. And the magic system is probably my favorite magic system I've ever seen in it. Like, I like Harry Potter and everything, but the magic system in that doesn't really make sense. It's just magic, This one is like...
This is very scientific, and they go through it and explain a lot.
And there's numbers to how much mana you have and stuff, and like, so if you're a nerd and you love like the science, magical science, it's the best.
For me, the only thing that lacked was the character development.
No way.
He says no way. I like a little bit more character development in my books, and that's why I gave it the 4.25. But other than that, I really liked it.
4.25 is still really high.
It's good. I liked it a lot, but I just love knowing so much about characters, and I feel like you kind of get that in this, but not to the point where I usually like.
So it's also first person. So therefore, you're always in the main character's head. So you only know what he knows, and you only know what he's thinking. So I feel like that pulls away from explaining more about other characters, because you only see what he sees at all times.
But you can have interactions, but he's a very introverted character. So
he keeps everything in. Yes. So the only thing that you hear is his thoughts.
I read a ton of first-person books, and you can have fantastic character development.
I think it was great, guys. I recommend it. If you're a video game nerd and you like... cool fantasy.
Yep.
5.5. Are you okay? Are you tired? You tired?
I'm tired.
I'm tired. Sorry.
Tired. All right.
So, what are we doing?
We slept all day. We shouldn't have.
We didn't sleep all day. We slept all morning. All right.
Yeah.
And you slept all morning yesterday too.
Dude, sometimes you just need it.
Sometimes, or all the time.
The book club for July, we have 2 books that we're reading. The Book of M by Peng Shepherd.
What happened to this?
This one came like this.
Gee, what did you do?
It came like
You were like, if I rip this, we just won't have to read it.
No, I won this in a Goodreads giveaway.
Nice.
And they sent it to me like completely annihilated.
We won it.
But anyway, I don't know much about what this is about, and I don't really want to know a lot, but it's essentially a post-apocalyptic type novel where people start to lose their shadow. And it starts happening all across the world. But when you lose your shadow, you gain an ability, like some sort of magical ability, I think. How did they explain it?
I love when you give me a synopsis, and it's so generic. It's like, just like the other book. I was just like, this sounds terrible.
You get a strange new power, but it comes at a horrible price. You
lose your memory.
All of your memories.
I called it. You told me that before.
Yeah, I know.
I
remember. I don't know. The premise seems really cool, and it's just like, I've been wanting to read more adult novels lately, and this seems like a post-apocalyptic adult novel, and so we chose this one.
So while we're here, let's talk about the book club. We do it on the last Sunday of every month, at least for now. Things may change in the future, but for this one, we are doing it on what day? Okay, you look that up while I'll tell them about it. We're going to be reading 2 books. This is one of them. We're going to talk about the next one. The other one next, and basically what we do is we just do a live stream. You guys join us. We have a conversation. If you read the book, it's great, because then we have somebody to talk to. And you guys, usually they actually know more than us
I learned stuff every live stream, and I'm like, but that's the cool part of having a book club is like things that I may have noticed in the book you may have not, and you go through it. But anyway, this one's going to be July 29th, which is the last Sunday of July 2018.
So you pretty much have like 29, 28 days, depending on when this video comes out, to,
and it's going to be at
do that.
2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is New York time if you need to look that up. So yeah, this is one of the books. If you want to join the live stream, watch one book. You can watch one book. You can read one book, read the other one, read both of them, and we talk about them.
Do we know what the M stands for?
Nope.
Memory?
Maybe.
Book of memory? Because you lose your memory. So somebody wrote down all their memories. Calling it now, guys. Somebody wrote down all their memories before they got the powers. And now they're trying to remember. Dude, if I'm right about this, I'm gonna be like, boom! I'm gonna just ascend to Super Saiyan 2 level again.
You were already at 2. So you're going to 3.
I'm at 2 already?
You said you were going to Super Saiyan 2 before.
No, that was something about a book. That was another joke I made. But thanks, Meek.
All right.
You think I'm Super Saiyan 2 already. So
then,
I don't want to go 3, though. I'd rather go to God mode. Like, I'll ascend to Super Saiyan God.
You have to go to 3
no,
first.
No, you don't. Vegeta never went to 3.
He did, too.
Vegeta never went to 3, and 3 is a waste.
So then, the second book for the book club is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang.
Kwang.
You've read some of this book. I mean, it's basically a...
You're halfway through.
Yeah.
Look at that.
It's
nice.
a tactical fantasy type story, but I don't usually like stories like that, but I really am enjoying the way this book is written. It's about a young girl who, you know, I don't know how to say this without giving too much away.
You want to read? You want to read the spoiler?
No, the very
synopsis?
first sentence spoils it, so don't read the first sentence of the synopsis. But anyway, it's a young girl who basically has nothing in life. She wants to make something of herself. She wants to join the military. In order to do so, you have to kind of pass this test. It's a really hard test, and she studies with a mentor for a while, but people usually study their whole lives for this test, and she only has 2 years. And it's kind of her journey of how she goes from nothing to something.
We haven't finished it, so we don't know.
Yeah.
From nothing to something. That's what I should say here. The story of how she goes from nothing to something.
They basically said that. They trained her for a war, and she intends to end it. That's a spoiler.
Snaps.
Anyway, so...
Maybe we're just taking that part of it as, like, a bigger deal than it is.
What?
The spoiler that we're talking about. Maybe we're just taking it as, like, that's a big spoiler, but it's really not, because that's the whole premise of the story.
Yeah, I mean, it does happen pretty early in the book, but I don't know. I'm really enjoying it so far. This book has been getting a lot of hype on YouTube lately, and I hear the ending is extremely brutal. But yeah, I'm about halfway through it, and I'm liking it. How far are you?
About 2-3 hours into it. So we're gonna quickly spoil the thing that we were talking about.
A little spoiler.
We're not like very far into the book at all, but the thing that we're talking about that's actually written all over it. But before we do that, we're gonna put a little thing on the screen that says spoiler. So just fast forward if you don't want to hear anything about it. Just fast forward until you don't see that anymore. Mute it, obviously, and then you'll be okay. But if you do want to hear what we're talking about, I just want to explain to them exactly what we're talking about, because I feel like we're leaving something that they don't feel like is a big deal. So anyway, ready?
The very first sentence.
Just mute it. You want to just read it to them?
Okay, so the very first sentence is when Rin aced the Keiju, the empire-wide state test to find the most talented youth to study at the academies, I almost said.
So basically what that means is, like, we felt like the first, like, what, 50, 60 pages or something?
Yeah, it was like her preparing for this test, and you didn't know how she was going to do.
Yeah, so it was a big deal when she finds out that she got in. So it was like, man, they literally spoiled that. But then the rest of the book, we're assuming that she's probably in school for most of it.
We don't know.
So we don't know. But at least how far I am, she's still in school, and she's still in, like, the first couple months of school or whatever, so...
And it's, like, her training throughout that school, and she doesn't have the easiest time. Plus, she's in a school full of people that are wealthy and well off, and she's not like that. Most of the people that take this test have their whole lives to worry about it and study and prepare for it, and she didn't have that. So she's in with a bunch of people that she doesn't really fit in with, but at the same time, she's kind of really good at what she does, or being, you know...
Okay, that's enough. Too much information. We're going too far. You're gonna just keep telling everybody everything. All right, so spoilers over. So you guys can join us for this again. July 29th is the thing. So read it, join us. It'll be fun. The more the merrier.
Yeah, seriously, anyone can join. Just read the books and join the live stream.
And if you don't read it right away, just watch it. We always post it, and you guys could just watch it and have a conversation and leave a comment if you guys missed it.
So 2 books that I'm currently reading that he's not reading.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold this then if I'm not reading it.
So this is Starlight by Jacqueline Carey. I got sent this from Tor. As it was a little bit before the book came out, but it's now out if you want to read it. It's hard to describe this book. So essentially,
I love when this happens.
I know. I don't know how to describe this book. So essentially, this young boy is born to serve a young princess, and I'm not going to go into the details of that because it's kind of a long story. But basically, they live in this world where the sky is now starless. I think they have 3 moons. And a sun, but they have no stars. And essentially all the stars are gods that were cast from the sky, and they now live on Earth with humans. And depending on where you live in this world, you actually serve different gods. And in their area, they have 2 different gods that they serve. What?
Sounds interesting.
Okay.
Why didn't we read this one?
It's a really long book. I'm liking it so far. It's pretty good. I'm about halfway through it. I wouldn't say it's the best thing I've ever read, but it's not the worst either. It's just kind of like average right now. But it's written very well and very clever. But there's just certain things that irk me in the story. But we'll see how it pans out. I'm in an area where there's kind of a lot of adventure. There are some really good characters. There's some really good like storytelling. So essentially overall, it's an interesting story. I just have a few issues with it so far, but I'll go into detail about that once I finish it. But I'm really liking it so far. It's okay. I'm saying I'm really liking it and it's okay, but I'm enjoying it. I will finish it, and like I said, I'm probably about 70% of the way through. And then I've been reading this one for months, but this one actually I think doesn't come out until July, but Penguin was nice enough to send me a hard copy.
What?
Yeah.
Penguin sent you something?
I know, it's crazy.
Oh my god.
But
girl,
they actually sent me the e-arc copy of this and then the physical copy once they had them. But I really, really enjoyed this book, and I was like surprised when no one wanted to read this for the book club, because during the book club we do vote on what books we read for the next month, so it's not just like we choose it and that's it.
By the way, if you guys want to join the book club, it is July 29th.
2 p.m.
2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be there or be square.
So this book, Spinning Silver, is by the same author that did Uprooted. I have not read that. I have it, but it's got amazing reviews. This one, I'm really, really loving the way it's written so far. Essentially, it's about a young girl who lives in a very poor family, and for what he does, the father is some sort of banker-ish in her day and age, and he loans out money, but he's not very good at getting that money back. So this girl gets fed up with her life and decides that she's going to go to these people's houses and take her money that she's owed, or the family is owed. And she's very smart and quick-witted, and that's essentially where I am in the story right now. There's not much going on, but there is a little, like, side creepy element. I don't want to give too much away, but I heard that this is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling of sorts. And I haven't gotten to that part of the book yet where I really see that, but I don't know the story of Rumpelstiltskin too much.
Is it the gold thing?
Probably. Like, she can turn silver into gold or whatever into gold.
Wasn't it twine into gold?
He could turn, like, anything, I think. I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember that story very well. Good. Well.
Nailed it.
Anyway, so, I just am really liking the way it's written so far, and I can't wait to finish it. I keep saying I'm going to finish it, and I never do. But yeah. Ew, me.
I'm sorry.
And that's it. I mean, I highly doubt I will have time to read anything other than those books this month because, you know, life is always crazy. But you never know.
Oh, I do.
I'm not going to do it.
I don't know.
I thought you did know. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to join the live stream if you want to. Those are the 2 books that we're reading, The Poppy War and the Book of M. July 29th. We've said it 500 times.
Anyway, guys, have you guys heard about the book club live stream we do at the end of the month? This month, it's going to be on July 29th, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, here on the channel. So read the book, come join us, and I don't know if I told you guys about that yet.
So thank you guys for watching.
So
we will see you next time.
Thank you guys for watching. She's going to see you next time. Maybe I'll be there too.